We're incredibly honored to have him here tonight. This is one of the most legendary divers on the face of the planet. He's pioneered blue water hunting, written numerous books, made movies. I just remember watching one of these movies and thinking, wow, the ethical values and everything that we, cherish as a tribe pretty much originated here. And he's here to share a little bit of this wisdom. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take notes. And thank you for coming, Terry. It's really appreciated.
Thank you, Ryan.
Terry, sitting up here, I'd like to present you with a yeah, shirt.
Thank you.
And pretty a little chilly, or you want to change? Nice little towel, too.
Thank you very much. As long as we're on blackout, I'd like to send this vest around. Everybody take a look at it. You guys have seen it. Unsnap it if you want. So I was thinking back in the mid-'60s, I was down here competing with San Diego, against the San Diego Freedivers. Don't recognize anybody in this old group. That was the era. So what I wanted to do tonight was to talk about some fish stories, some F-ups, some safety issues, some political issues, and a couple of organizations. I'd like to paint a picture for you. In 1972, my good friend Al Snippershoff at Guadalupe Island was killed by a great white shark. But before he died, he said, I've seen huge bluefin tuna. And when he died, I started looking behind me every dive I made for about the next 2 years, which was actually a good thing because there's a lot of yellowtail that come from behind you. So for the next 9 years, those words, there's a big tuna, percolated in my brain. My friend Jim Mabry and I thought, well, maybe we'll go to Guadalupe. We knew Ron Merker had shot a 52-pound bluefin tuna there. It was a world record, and he said, this kicked my butt. That's the biggest bluefin can ever be shot. That was just a challenge for us. So 14 guys, 2 San Diegans, Barry Wagner and Wes Andrews. Everybody knows Barry. Does anybody know Wes? Okay, a couple of guys. Chartered the Sandollar. We went to Guadalupe Island, and we went to a place called Tuna Alley, which was the south end. And I'll just give you a couple of visions. The water was about 150-foot visibility, and there was legions of tube mackerel. They were about this long, and there was like 30 in a circle, and they made a train that looked like forever. It's these tubes of mackerel, giant mackerel everywhere in crystal clear water. There's an island called Afuera. It's the little island at the very tip of Guadalupe. And I circled that by myself that one day. And on the way back to the boat, I looked down and there were 3 200-pound bluefin tuna swimming right underneath me in 10 feet of water. I swam down with my gun aiming the wrong way, and they left. But the sheer excitement of seeing these giant tuna was just awesome. The next day, we dove the same area, and I dove down, and a wall of tuna came by, and I shot one. It turned out to be 178 pounds, and that was a new world record. But after I shot that fish, it went down to about 40 feet of water, and I was down recovering it. The ocean was covered with bluefin tuna, all the same size as he was. All I saw was black backs of bluefin tuna, the same size as this fish. So the next day we were diving, and remember the mistake everybody made there was to shoot when they saw the fish, because we're pretty much local divers, used to seeing when you see a fish you can shoot it. Well, the water was so clear there that I remember watching big tuna swimming and guys shooting it, and their spear gun go all the way out, not even going halfway to the tuna, and just going like that. And the tuna never budged, never even threatened them. The water was so clear, and the fish were so big. So my fateful day, Barry Wagner went one way, and I went the other with Dennis Okada. And we were diving over pinnacles with lots of fish, and I told Dennis, don't shoot a yellowtail, that we'll see a big tuna. I just have a feeling. 10 minutes later, whack! Dennis shot a yellowtail. So he left back to the Sand Dollar, and that left me out there by myself. I made a dive to about 30 feet, and remember, it was about 150-foot visibility. I looked down, I saw two tuna that big. And they were way, way down, but they kept coming up and coming up. And it was early in the dive. I had a minute and a half just to wait, and they kept coming. Finally, one got as close as it was going to get, and I just thrust my gun. That's not normally the way I shoot, but I just pushed it and shot. And I hit this 400-pound bluefin tuna, and it just took off. It took my float. Now, I'm going to diverge on floats. We had no idea. Nobody ever shot a big fish before. And so this was my idea based on my friend Jim Mabry. Barry had a Culligan water heater was towing around, and Gary Thompson was towing around a big red eye. We had no idea what kinds of floats, because nobody ever shot a fish that big. But this one had a lead skeg I put on it to keep the flag up. And when I shot that bluefin, my float started coming right for me, and that skeg almost cleaved me, and I ducked, and the float went past me, and then went straight down. And then the kiss of death, it came up like this. And you just know that you lost the fish. So I went and pulled the line, and there was something on it, and that bluefin went down, and it made a big circle, and then the next thing I know, it was coming right for me. He is that big around. Oh, hell, he's going to hit me. So he got about 10 feet from me, and then he just quivered and dropped. And what had happened is my spearhead severed his spine, and he died. And so the hard part then was pulling him up. So fast forward a couple of years, Cortez Bank, during the great El Nino, I'll call it, of the 80s, 82, 83, Jim and I went to Cortez Bank in my boat. We there was no GPS. We had a Loran, and we just went to a place that looked like it had a contour and dropped the hook. And I've never seen Cortez Bank like this. I hope to see it again. But in 30 feet of water, you could look down, but you couldn't see the bottom, because the bottom, 10 feet of the bottom was covered with mackerel. I mean, a layer of 10 feet so thick you could push your hand through. And then that was 30 feet, 10 feet of mackerel, and that left the intervening 20 feet. And there was bluefin tuna and yellowtail swimming all through this. The most amazing, and red crabs. And by the way, we're almost on El Nino. When you guys see red crabs, then we're in it. And I got a feeling we're going to see them. Anyway, there was red crabs all over the place, tuna everywhere. My friend Jim, the current's running, and he follows a kelp patty, and he shoots a 70-pound bluefin tuna, which is a state record. And he was holding it up and took pictures. 10 minutes later, I shot a 98-pounder, ruined his record, and that still holds. So maybe we can break that. Now, the last fish story was a couple months ago, January, in New Zealand. I was fishing off a pinnacle where they have big yellowtail there. Generally only get one or two yellowtail before they scatter. So Colleen Gallagher, the founder of Diving for a Cause, got a 60-pounder. It's a pretty big yellowtail, as you can imagine. And then two of the younger guys got 40 and 50-pounders. And I was filming, I watched this one, the 50-pounder. There was a school of 100 yellowtail, all 40 to 50 pounds, just swimming around in 40 and 50 feet of water. So they each got 40 and 50 pounders. It was my turn. And it went up current, and this is a pinnacle like Farnsworth Bank, came up to about 50 feet, crystal clear again with these blue Mau, blue and pink Mau, the most beautiful fish. They're about that long, and they're all lazing into the current. And so I found very effective there was a croaking. I can do that in my throat. It works locally okay, but it's like candy to yellowtail in New Zealand. They come in when they hear that sound. So I went down to about 45 feet and started croaking, and the 100 yellowtail were coming up from about 80 and 60 and 50. On the fifth dive, I was looking for a big one, and this swirl of yellowtail, and then a big one came in from the side. I shot it right, perfect kill shot. Went to the surface, my float goes down, comes back up, and I did lose it. I go, hell, I don't know how I shot it perfectly. So I load my gun up, swam upstream, back to where I was sure there would be no yellowtail after all that carnage, and this giant yellowtail, black, jet black, swam straight up from the bottom, straight up, and he had all of that school surrounding him. I just didn't know what to do until I realized I think that's my fish. So I went over and quick shot it in the back, and sure enough, it was the one I shot. So I think I'm the only guy that second shot a yellowtail with the same shaft. So that's enough fish stories. A little bit about blue water hunting. We never chummed for blue water fish. It's become quite popular now, but I have kind of an aversion to it. Sometimes that's the only way you can get blue water fish. It's popular in Puerto Vallarta, but believe me, you can get plenty blue water fish without chumming. In this Diving for a Cause group I'll talk about in a minute, I had an opportunity to dive with a lot of new, very enthusiastic divers with good guns who would do pretty well shooting a tuna, but after they shot it, they had no idea what to do with it. And the way we hunt in Panama is run and gun, where you get in a boat, chase the schools, jump off, that kind of a thing. So you need to get moving. You don't want to take forever bringing in a big fish. So I'd like to demonstrate a technique that's proved really well. Will somebody come up here and hold the float for me? You can ask a bunch of questions later. I'll be glad to answer that one. So this is the float that I use now. And what you want to do is bring in a fish quickly and safely. Now, these tuna clips here, I hate them. I'd just get rid of them if you got them. They're just big and a waste of time. Much better is another clip I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, in my book, Gerald Lim talked about using this to hook on the line and bring the fish in a little bit. I don't like that because it scars the line and the fish can run right back out at you. So there's a technique where if there's a fish down there, if you pull it up just enough, you can, should have got a little more organized here, pull it up. Yeah, we're good. So what you have to do is get the first wrap through here. You see that? And then you're not fighting the fish is fighting the buoy. So I'm going to put the mic down for a second and show you the motion on how we do it. So basically, you pull it up and go like this. Meanwhile, the fish is fighting the float, not fighting you. And you bring the fish in again. And you just keep going until you get about 20 feet in. And when you're 20 feet in, you can just throw a half hitch. And it gets kind of messy. But this Now, what you've done is you've retrieved that fish, and he's not going to ever pull any more line out of you. You got him this far. And you just repeat it like this. Pull him out, and like that. And that's very effective. You never really want to second shoot a fish until he's concealed. A lot of guys try to second shoot a fish in 60 feet of water that's running from you. It'll drown you. You just don't. You want to bring your shooting line up where you second shoot. Now, if you don't have that, you can just get a ring like this. That's a bridle ring, or you can make one, and you can do the very same thing. You can put your line in here, and then pull it up, and let the fish fight the float, not you. And when you get it up to a certain level, just throw a half inch in it, and then start all over with another piece of line. So it's a very, very simple way for you guys to bring in big fish. I want to use this photo to demonstrate something else, a common mistake that people make. So for tuna and the bigger fish over 100 pounds, I recommend that the first float be a hard for raw talon, something that won't compress, that has at least 20 pounds flotation. And then behind that you can have a inflatable. Now, a mistake people make is that they daisy chain the floats, and a hard float too. You don't want to put the line so that it connects to one end of the float and then connect another line to the other end, because it'll rip the float or pull the float apart. So run your line through both ends of the float. That way it's the line that is being played and not the middle of the float. You follow that? And then the last thing is, here is the little connectors. You get a West Marine, they're little eyeballs. And they're not this cookie piece of garbage. And these things just no good. So you can get these little things here, and they're very streamlined, very, very strong.
They're called shackles.
Shackles. Just kind of running through this. Oh, okay, now, if you guys really want to make the all-time best float, this you guys got to make. So, this float is the first one in your line, okay? The fish is fighting here. See how nice and streamlined this goes through the water? Now, if it's strong enough to bring this under the water, this device here pulls loose and then now pops 150 feet along. And then your float, now you've got two floats separated by 150 feet along. And this is the killer float. You can make them yourself. I made these myself. I'm going to reprint my book and I'll put on how to do this. Thank you. Some real mundane stuff. You guys can pass this around real quick. That's just my wetsuit, but I've just been pissed off forever at the nylon threads coming loose in my wetsuit. Have you all had that happen? So this year I experimented with something that works really well. You can all do it really quick. Who knows about 5200? 5200. Okay. You want to know, you get black 5200. Now, 5200 is a thick paste. The trick is to squeeze maybe a third of a tube into a glass container. Make yourself a little mixer by getting a clothes hanger, putting a bend on it. The clothes hanger, putting your electric drill, you'll whip it up, and you put a little acetone in with a 5200, and you turn it from a thick paste to a paint. And then you get a brush and you cut it so it's real stiff and paint your seams. and it's really working well. Your wetsuits will last forever. It not only seals the seams, but there'd never be that thread anymore. Okay. A lot of us have back problems with, I'll be glad to answer questions at the end, with the weights at the exact wrong spot, right in the small of your back. You can get a material called Kydex, or even any kind of plastic, and bridge from your top of your butt to about here with just a little pad. And I took that pad and sewed it into a surfer rash guard, and just put that on. It always positions that pad just right, and now that pad's taking all the weight right off the small of your back and distributes it across your ass on your upper back. Just another trick. So I'm going to switch into safety issues. Shallow water blackout certainly is the biggest bugaboo we have. There's documented cases of it occurring 15 feet of water. You're just never really sure when it's going to strike you. So I'd seriously consider looking at my vest. Line tangles. In Puerto Vallarta 2 years ago, these are my F-ups, 2 in a row. I was diving with Sebastian. We together we were diving, and a school of 60-pound tuna came by. I shot one bad shot in the tail, but it kind of killed. So I just pulled the line in, not like I showed you here. Just ass over tea kettle, and I was just ready to hand the fish into the boat when he came alive. He went straight to the bottom, took all that line, wrapped it around me like a cocoon, and sent me right under the water. And I did a real slick maneuver. I panicked and got all the line off of me. But I can't tell you how dangerous that line is. In filming some Big Dorado school, we filmed them all day. And the sardine school was as big as a garage. By the end of the day, it was about as big as that pool table. And you could swim into the sardines and grab them. I did. I grabbed them and threw them like that. And then the Dorado would eat them up. So I couldn't resist. Asked for a spear gun. And here again, you just get sloppy. And I shot the first Dorado I saw, and they're all 30 and 40 pounds. And I was tired. Anyway, long and short of it, that Dorado went whoosh, 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 and wrapped me up like a cocoon. I was like this. The Dorado hit me in the head. So, but he was swimming, and I swam him up to the surface. And that gave me enough time to get a breath and kill him. Be very careful of the line. We all are offshore with boats. We're all offshore with boats. And one of the most dangerous things about boats is the propellers. And I can't tell you guys enough just to always clear the propeller when you take off. You don't want to grind your friend up. And it happens. If you're lost at sea, you guys are way offshore, it's easy to happen. So have a float and have some way that you can be recognized if you're lost. We'll switch gears now to the MLPA process. That was one of the most painful 2 years I ever spent. You guys are living with some of the consequences here. So we're the guys in Malibu and Palos Verdes. Although this was pretty much ramrodded down us, we did get some benefits, and I'll explain those. One is that we were able to convince the Fish and Game Department, unlike we were able to do in the Channel Islands, but we were down here, that yellowtail and white sea bass are pelagic. So they don't benefit from a fixed reserve. And because of that, in some of the reserves, I think there's one down near Swamis, a couple up north and around Catalina, where nobody can fish or fish, but we can spearfish. Divers were recognized as being selective and we could take pelagics. So Farnsworth Bank, Naples Reef, were able to spearfish. I think that was one of the few wins. The Watermen's Alliance I'm switching to now, is helping you with your cause. It's a great group of people. Volker, you all know him. He's instrumental in that. We're working with the abalone limits in Northern California. I was on the San Miguel Island committee where the 12 commercial divers in Santa Barbara wanted to open up the island for themselves. And by the way, they wanted to take 90% of the abalone, leaving 10% for the dive. For us, they claimed that was the historical take. Well, yeah, it was a historical take because commercials could take unlimited abalone, and we were limited to just 5 or 10. So we beat that back pretty effectively. We're now able to take striped bass in California, and that was the work of the Watermen's Alliance. We're about ready to spear marlin. We can only spear marlin, but now broadbill. That's just a rule change that they're going to pass this year. We're working on signage issues so that people realize that MLPAs are more than just keeping fishermen out of the water and servers and everybody else. It's grinding those little crabs to the dust and the like. And then we're working with beach access, not only down here. You guys are doing a pretty good fight, but also in Palos Verdes, as we just discussed, and also Stillwater Cove in Northern California. And I want to finish with a group called Diving for a Cause. And we had one of you guys was on one of our trips, 2 of you. Where's things took off? Anyway, this is a great group. The prices are reduced for world-class fishing. And if you've ever been like me, traveled in a foreign country and spent a lot of time killing somebody's fish as you drive by their poverty shack, it kind of wears on you. Well, Diving for a Cause spends a week in a foreign country to do some world-class spearfishing, but then we give back to the community. Panama is a good example. There's 2 schools we've painted, planted, play soccer with the kids, give them our fish, and of the 5 days, 3 days diving, 2 days in community service. It's a great organization, and I recommend that you all consider a trip. The trips are very economical. And that's it. Any questions on anything? Oh, chumming. This is a personal opinion. I just think it's unfair. I think that the true hunter, in my view, blue water hunter hunts wild fish in his own environment without any inducement. That includes pins that have bluefin that other bluefin want to join. That includes the big bluefin taken in New Zealand, where guys follow factory ships that are dumping off tons of bait. It includes, and this is what I really hate, is guys trolling lures behind the boat. I've done that to take pictures of marlin, and they're just dumb. It's not sportsmen to shoot a marlin that's chummed up behind the boat, either with a lure or bait. That's my personal view.
Terry, obviously you've accomplished pretty much all my goals already in your life. What are your new goals? Like, where are your sights right now?
I'm reliving my old goals. I'm going to shoot another 400-pound bluefin. No, I enjoy sharing my knowledge with others. I'm going to reprint my book. It'll be digital this time. I've got new stories, great pictures, and things I've learned about, and all of you've learned. That the combined knowledge now from 1982 is tremendous, and I want to tap into that. I love photography. I've got a brand new camera that you can see the scale on every little fish. I like that. I'm deeply invested in the the freedivers recovery vest. Military is using it as well, and so all of those things interest me. Yeah, the freediver's recovery vest is designed to take a diver who exceeds his own time, his own self depth set. For example, if you think you're a minute and a half diver, you can set it for 2 minutes. If you exceed 2 minutes, it's going off. You don't have the option to change that once you've started to dive because you become unreasonable when you chase a big fish. The same with the depth. If it's set for 50 feet, it's going to go off at 50 feet. There's another option called the surface minder option, and that is when you come to the surface and let's go back a little history. About half of the serious blackouts occur right on the surface. I have 2 watches from DES showing people making it all the way to the surface. And then within 4 seconds, both of them sink out. There's some physiology there. It may be just exhaling, releases pressure. It's the vacuum effect when your lungs have expanded and sucked all the oxygen out. But people on the surface sink out very quickly. When that happens, a very bad thing happens. You're unconscious. The water pressure squeezes your lungs and it pushes all the air out. So people say you should be buoyant on the surface. Yeah, but you should really be buoyant on the surface with all your air out. And I don't know of many people who do that. But that's what happens. So the surface minder option works that when you come to the surface, there's a light. The light goes steady for 15 seconds, and then it blinks for another 15 seconds. You've got those 15, the blinking light to say, yes, I'm okay, press the button, and the vest resets. If you don't do that, it's going to go off. You can use that option if you want or not. Yes. I'm sorry? It's a good idea to use it every dive. Every dive trip, even though people get lulled into slow diving, but you can get wrapped up in a fish in shallow water, and it could save you there. Could save your buddy if you went down and he was tangled up. You could pull it and bring you both. It's really good for being lost at sea, too. That thing makes a hell of a float.
So what I'm understanding on that is that there's certain things that you set for your parameters, and then if you exceed those parameters, then that takes over in case you've either blacked out under the water or at the surface.
That's correct. And it throws you face up, so you can be rescued.
There's a case of emergency where you separate from the boat, you're drifting, you can actually either manually or...
There's 3 ways to inflate it. You can do the button press I did. You can blow it manually, or there's a manual trigger, bypasses the electronics and releases it that way.
And there's just a container, or like a CO2 canister, and you can...
There's two CO2 canisters that you replace each time it goes off. All right, thank you. They're $1,500 available at Oceanic Safety Systems. Pony up the credit card and you get one in the mail. All right, thank you all.
All right. Thanks a lot, Terry. We really appreciate you coming down, taking the time to spend with our bunch here. It's a costly purchase, I'm sure, to some of us, but what is your life worth is really what this boils down to. We are actively pursuing a very dangerous sport. I'd like to see all of you at next meeting, and the meeting after that, and the meeting after that.